In the gleaming megacity of Zenith, where the sky was no longer visible due to the towering structures and technological marvels, I lived in a high-rise apartment that seemed to reach the stars themselves. I was a part of the elite few, a human working among the galaxy's most intelligent beings. My job was a prestigious one, assigned to me by the Galactic Federation to oversee Earth's integration into the broader universe. It had been years since I had seen another human being up close. In this vast world of aliens and artificial intelligence, I found myself isolated from the people of my own kind. That night was like any other, or so I thought. I had come back to my apartment after a long day of diplomatic negotiations with the Zrodians, a particularly prickly race of insectoids who valued formality above all else. It had taken hours just to finalize the first sentence of our peace treaty. I felt exhausted and drained, my body aching from sitting in that stiff diplomatic chair. The evening sky outside had turned a deep shade of purple, and I let out a tired sigh, loosening my uniform's collar. My apartment was equipped with every modern convenience, including a personal maid, a humanoid robot named Lyra. Lyra was not just an ordinary household helper. She was an AI designed to anticipate my needs, maintain the apartment's systems, and ensure my comfort. But tonight, I had dismissed her earlier, preferring solitude over company, even that of a machine. After taking a quick shower, I walked into my bedroom in my sleepwear, ready to collapse into bed. Just as I reached for the lights to dim them, I heard a faint knock at the door. Strange. Lyra never knocked. She would have sent a soft chime or a message through the apartment's integrated system. Before I could respond, the door slid open. To my surprise, it wasn't Lyra standing there. Instead, my new housemaid, Sarah, a human, fresh from Earth, stood frowning in the doorway, her eyes wide in shock. It seemed like she hadn't expected to see me either. Sarah had only been hired a week ago to assist Lyra, though I rarely saw her around the apartment. With humans becoming rare in Zenith's upper echelons, I hadn't even thought about the fact that I now had another person working for me. My thoughts, were interrupted by her sudden gasp. Sarah's wide eyes locked onto me, and it took me a moment to realize why. I stood there without a shirt on, and though that wouldn't normally have been a problem, my body was covered in intricate, swirling tattoos, an ancient tradition of the human warrior class. These markings were more than just art. They were symbols of my training and discipline. Each one told a story of battles won, a history of sacrifices made in defense of humanity. For a moment, we both stood in silence, unsure of what to say or do. The soft hum of the city's hovercars could be heard through the windows, adding an eerie stillness to the scene. "I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't mean to intrude," Sarah finally stammered, her face turning a shade of red I hadn't seen in years. It was a stark reminder of the humanity I had been so distant from. Her embarrassment was palpable, and I could see her fidgeting, trying to decide whether to leave or explain her presence. I took a breath and gestured for her to come in, still trying to understand why she was there so late. "It's okay, Sarah. No harm done. But why are you here at this hour?" Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched a small data pad against her chest. I noticed some irregularities in the apartment system and thought you'd want to be informed right away." Curious now, I motioned for her to continue. Sarah quickly stepped inside. The door closing silently behind her. She pulled up a holographic display on her pad, showing a series of warnings and glitches running through the apartment's security system. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but if left unattended, it could become a serious breach of safety. "It seems like there's been some unauthorized access attempt," she said, her voice gaining confidence as she explained. "I traced it back to a signal from outside the building. I think someone might be trying to hack into your system." My heart raced. Security breaches were no small matter, especially for someone in my position. If an alien race was attempting to infiltrate my home, it could mean disaster not just for me, but for Earth's diplomatic standing. "Good work, Sarah," I said, impressed by her diligence. "Can you block it?" "I'm already on it," she replied, her fingers flying across the holographic keyboard. I watched her, silently amazed. Here was this young woman, so out of place in this advanced world of aliens and AI. Yet she was handling a complex situation with the composure of a seasoned professional. Within minutes, she had isolated the signal and blocked the attempted breach. The apartment systems returned to normal, and the holographic warnings disappeared. Sarah let out a sigh of relief and looked up at me, smiling shyly. "You saved me from what could have been a disaster," I said, my tone more grateful than I had intended. "I'm just doing my job, sir," she responded modestly, but I could see the pride in her eyes. As the tension of the moment eased, I realized how close we had come to disaster, and how Sarah's unexpected presence had averted it. If she hadn't walked in at that precise moment, who knew what could have happened by morning? But beyond that, I realized something else. For the first time in years, I had interacted with another human being in a way that felt real, authentic. It wasn't just about diplomatic talks or maintaining appearances. It was a shared experience, one that brought a strange sense of connection. "Thank you, Sarah," I said softly, as I walked her to the door. "I mean it." She gave me one last glance, her eyes no longer filled with shock but with something else. "Respect. Anytime, sir, and sorry again about the intrusion." As she left, I stood in the dim light of my room, contemplating the odd series of events. In a world filled with the galaxy's most advanced technologies and species, it was a simple, human encounter that had shaken me the most. The night had started with an unexpected encounter, but it ended with something even more surprising, a reminder of the humanity I thought I had left behind. The following day, I woke up early, the events of last night still fresh in my mind. The vulnerability of my apartment's security system had left a gnawing feeling in my gut. In Zenith, a hack attempt wasn't something that happened out of the blue. With the layers of encryption and AI-powered defenses we had, it usually took a powerful entity to even try, and the fact that it was my system connected to the Galactic Federation's infrastructure made the situation even more unsettling. I quickly dressed, my mind already racing with possibilities. Who could be behind the breach? Was it one of the alien factions, unhappy with Earth's growing influence in galactic politics? Or was it someone closer, someone within the city itself? The audience from yesterday's negotiations had been on edge. I couldn't shake the feeling that something larger was at play. As I made my way to the control room in my apartment, I realized something else. Last night, Sarah's quick thinking had saved me from a major incident. But that moment of her walking in unexpectedly had left me thinking. I had grown so used to the sterile, formal interactions with the non-human inhabitants of Zenith that I had almost forgotten what it was like to connect with someone on a purely human level. There was a simplicity and sincerity in her reaction, something I hadn't encountered in a long time. Sitting at my console, I pulled up the security logs, hoping to trace the signal Sarah had intercepted. My fingers danced across the holographic interface as lines of code and encrypted data flowed across the screen. It didn't take long to realize that Sarah had done an exceptional job. She had locked down the breach before it could cause any real damage. But as I dug deeper, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The signal didn't come from outside the building, it originated from within. Someone inside the building had been trying to infiltrate my system. My mind raced through the possibilities. Was it an inside job? Had someone planted a mole in my apartment staff? The question that plagued me most was, could it be Sarah? No. I shook the thought from my head. She had acted quickly to protect me, and there was no sign of deceit in her actions. But still, I couldn't ignore the possibility. The Galactic Federation didn't get to where it was by trusting everyone blindly. I needed more information before making any conclusions. Just then, the door slid open, and Lyra entered the room. "Sir, your daily briefing with the Galactic Council is in 30 minutes, she announced, her voice as calm and mechanical as ever. I nodded, trying to maintain a sense of normalcy despite the swirling thoughts in my head. "Thank you, Lyra. Please make sure the apartment is secured while I'm gone." "Of course, sir. Security protocols will be updated and enforced." As I left the apartment and made my way to the council chamber, I couldn't help but wonder what was really going on. The council meeting was a blur. I Saturday through reports on trade negotiations, alien diplomacy, and the ongoing development of Earth's integration into the Federation, but my mind kept drifting back to the breach and to Sarah. Once the meeting was over, I returned home, determined to investigate further. I needed answers, and I needed them soon. Later that evening, I summoned Sarah to my office. She entered quietly, her expression a mix of curiosity and professionalism. "You wanted to see me, sir?" "Yes," I replied, gesturing for her to sit. "I wanted to thank you again for your quick thinking last night. You did an excellent job." She smiled, a hint of pride in her expression. "I'm just glad I could help. It's my duty, after all." "I know," I said, leaning forward slightly, "but there's something I need to ask you. Have you noticed anything unusual going on in the apartment recently? Anything out of the ordinary?" Sarah's smile faded, replaced by a look of concern. "Out of the ordinary? Like strange behavior from Lyra or other systems?" "No, sir, nothing that I can think of." "Why?" I hesitated for a moment, unsure of how much to reveal. "There was something in the data you found last night. The signal came from inside the building. I'm trying to figure out who could have initiated it." Her eyes widened, and she leaned back slightly, clearly taken aback. "Inside the building? That's impossible. I've only been here for a week, and Lyra has been running everything smoothly since I arrived." "You don't think?" She trailed off, her voice trembling slightly. "You don't think it could have been me, do you?" The question hung in the air like a heavy weight. I studied her closely, searching for any signs of deception. Her white eyes, the trembling of her hands, everything pointed to genuine shock. She had no idea. "No," I finally said, shaking my head. "I don't think it was you, but someone is behind this, and I need your help to figure out who." Sarah exhaled, clearly relieved. "Of course, I'll do whatever I can." For the next few hours, we worked together, analyzing the security logs and running simulations to trace the origin of the signal. As the night wore on, it became clear that the breach hadn't come from an external source at all. It had been triggered by something embedded in the apartment system, a dormant piece of code that had been activated remotely. "This code is ancient," Sarah muttered, leaning over the console. "It's not from any modern system. It's human." Her words sent a chill down my spine. "Human? But how?" Sarah frowned, running her fingers over the console's surface. "I don't know, sir, but this code predates Zenith's integration with the Galactic Federation. It's something from before Earth was part of the galaxy's network. It's as if someone from Earth's past was trying to access your system." The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. The breach wasn't the work of an alien faction or a rival species. It was a human, someone with knowledge of Earth's old systems, trying to infiltrate my apartment. But who? And more importantly, why? Just as I was about to ask Sarah for her thoughts, the lights flickered, the holographic display in front of us glitched momentarily, and the apartment systems shut down. "Sarah," I called out, my voice tense, "what's happening?" Before she could respond, a voice crackled through the darkness, a voice I hadn't heard in years. "Hello, Commander," it said, cold and distant. "It's been a long time." Sarah's eyes widened, and I felt my blood turn to ice.